Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Inside LSU Baseball. I'm your host, Jason Armstrong, and we're here for the Alabama preview episode. First, we're going to look back really quickly at the midweek game against McNeese. I don't know if you still call it McNeese State or not, but that LSU played Tuesday night. We'll go through that really briefly. And then I say this every week for these previews, but I really am going to try to get through this fairly quickly. So let's start with Tuesday night. It was a great win, and it ended the longest winning streak of any team in the country. McNeese had a 12-game winning streak coming into the game at Alex Box, and LSU put it on him. Both Jones and Ethan Fry had great nights. They combined for 6 hits and 5 RBIs. Every starter had at least one hit en route to a 10-3 game. So LSU improves to 32-6 on the year. And Jones really rebounded from a tough Auburn series where he was 1 for 13 with, I think, 6 strikeouts. He hit the first pitch that he saw over the center field, a little bit right of center field, over the fence for a home run, the first pitch he saw. He reached base 5 times in the game. Just a really great night. He also broke a 13-game strikeout streak, so didn't go down swinging. William Schmidt improved to 6-0 on the year. He really looks like a different pitcher than he did 3 weeks ago. I made this comment on Twitter that he's made as much of a jump as you see guys who, from their freshman year to their sophomore year. That's what he looks like. I mean, for a while there, he was just spinning that breaking ball that made him the 5th highest high school recruit in the country that nobody thought was going to make it to college. That breaking ball is what made him so sought after, and he couldn't really even land it. Now that joker is on, and he's not only landing that, but he's got 95-mile-per-hour heat behind it. He was cruising, man, up until he gave up a double in the 4th inning. He got behind 2-0, gave up a double, and then I think he got behind again 3-0, and the McNeese batter swung 3-0 and hit it over the right field fence. So they wound up pulling him after 3 1/3, gave up 2 earned runs, but it was a good outing. He looked really good for really 3 1/3. And then those 2 batters, double home run. I think he also gave up another single and then a walk, but it was a good job. And then Connor Binge came in. He made a team-leading 15th appearance on the year, and he's pumping 97. He actually escapes a first and second with 1 out in a 4-2 game. Great job by him. Teams are only batting at 196 against Binge, so I really like what we've been seeing out of him lately. And I think with him, it's just short spurts. That's perfect scenario for him to come out and put out a fire. Maverick Rizzi then followed him. Actually, Connor Ware came in after Binge, and I think he only faced 3 batters, maybe walked 2. But then Maverick Rizzi came in. He had the bases loaded with 1 out in the 5th, and he got strikeout, back-to-back to get out of the inning. Great job. Cooper Williams and Jacob Myers through the final 2 innings, striking out 4, 0 walks. That's the big thing. Really good job by both of those guys coming along. Williams still has not given up an earned run in 11 appearances, and Myers did surrender his 2nd hit of the year in 9 appearances, but he was just nasty again. I mean, I'm so excited about seeing him as the season progresses. So, and look, the Tigers needed that win to get back on track. I mean, getting swept at Auburn is just a frustrating weekend. And so getting that win against McNeese was big for that reason. And also, you got Bama now coming to town on Thursday. So let's start with an overview of Bama and just kind of look at the first 2 months of their season. So they're 30-8 on the year, 8-7 in conference. They're ranked number 15 in the country. Now, Jay Johnson coached LSU teams are 6-3 in regular season series against Bama. LSU won the 22 season series, the 23 series, and then last year they dropped the man, that was a wild series, an important series, and LSU actually dropped that series to Bama. Alabama's coached by Rob Vaughn, and this is the second year at Bama. This is one of the young up-and-coming coaches in all of America. He coached Maryland for 5 years, and he took them to a regional the last 3 years he was there. And his teams were really known for their offense. His two assistant coaches, he brought those guys from Maryland, the hitting coach, the recruiting coordinator. So I think he's going to build something special at Bama. Coming off a really good team last year. That was a team with a lot of older players, a lot of talent, and they maximized that. Jason Jackson is the pitching coach, and he's a guy that was the interim coach when they had that big stink in 2023 with their head coach betting on the game and all that good stuff. They kept him on as the pitching coach. And, when I think about Bama, I think about good starting pitching without necessarily like top end talent. I think of guys like Garrett McMillan, Jacob McNary, Greg Ferrone, Grayson Hitt, Ben Hess. Now those are pro guys, but still Luke Holman was talented. But my point is that they've had good starting pitching. And a lot of these guys are just very good college pitchers and had really good college careers. So I think they do a good job. And I see a lot of that again this year with Alabama staff. So they got out to a 16-0 start, and they were 22-1 at one point. Non-conference games, some of their best wins are against Coastal Carolina, Troy, Southern Miss, some solid mid-major teams. Nothing, I haven't seen any monumental, wins against Power 4 Quad 1 teams, but not to say they couldn't do it. I don't think they've lost a midweek game all year, as a matter of fact. Now, in SEC series, they've won 2 series and they've lost 2 series. And now, in 3 straight series, the game 3 decided the series. So they're used to being in the fight all the way until the end. Now, they opened up by sweeping Texas A&M. They actually won game 1 against Tennessee, dropped the next 2 games. Oklahoma, they won that series in game 3. Auburn, they lost the rubber match. And then Mississippi State, they won game 2 and then dropped game 3 4-2 and only got 2 hits in that rubber match last weekend. So I will tell you this, Bama is very fortunate to be 8-7 in conference play based on the following statistic. And when I give you this, I'm throwing out both extremes. Like, I'm getting rid of Arkansas because they're like just way better than everybody else when it comes to certain statistics. And I'm throwing out Missouri. So when you look at the top teams in the SEC, as far as conference is concerned, they're batting anywhere between 270 to 290. So not only does Bama rank number 15 out of the 16 teams in batting average, I mean, it's one thing to be second to last when with a 239 batting average, but I also look at what are opposing teams batting against your pitching staff. So let's take Texas, for example. That's not a team with a very high batting average. I mean, they're batting 252 in conference, but they're holding their opponents to a 226 batting average. So that's a 26-point differential. And that's one of the better jobs in the conference, is that 26-point differential. It's not the best, but it's up there. Georgia, for example, has a 41-point differential. Auburn and LSU are hitting 33 and 31 points higher than what offenses are hitting against their pitching staff. Even if you look at like the middle of the road, the middle of the pack teams like Ole Miss, they're hitting 11 points higher than teams are hitting against them. Kentucky is even. So they're batting 261 in conference, and teams are batting 261 against their pitching. Bama is hitting a whopping 52 points under what their opponents are hitting. So opponents are hitting 291 against them, and they're only hitting 239. That differential is worse than any team not named South Carolina or Mizzou. And those are two teams with a combined 2-28 record in conference play. And I mentioned that teams are batting 291 against Alabama's pitching staff. There's only one team hitting above 290 in the entire conference, and that's Arkansas. And they're like going crazy, hitting like 336. But you look at like Tennessee, they're only hitting I think it's 89. So that's not good. And that's why I say they're very fortunate to be 8-7. I mean, they're 15th in average, 13th in slugging, 15th in on-base percentage, 14th in runs scored and hits, second from the bottom in home runs, 15th in walks, so they don't walk a lot, 13th in stolen bases. I mean, this offense is not doing anything right now in conference play. Now, on the mound, they've got a 5.88 ERA, which is good for 10th in the conference. The opponent batting average of 291 is the 14th worst in the conference. They're 15th in strikeouts, so they're not striking people out. They've allowed the 13th most hits out of 16 conference teams. And they've been run ruled the last two conference openers with their ace on the mound. So I don't really know if I'm, should be appalled by these stats or impressed that they've managed to win 8 games and sit a game over 500. Now, if you're considering turning off the podcast now and just, assuming that Bama stinks and there's nothing to worry about, think again. I can think of a lot of teams that started the season playing poorly over the first half of the season, but worked out the kinks and became a team nobody wanted to face later in the year. I mean, you look at 2024 LSU. I mean, that's a team that was 3-12 through the first 15 games, and look at them at the end of the year. 2023 Tennessee, I think at one point they were like 7-14, but they started pretty bad and were a College World Series team. 2022 Ole Miss, that's another team. Didn't look good for a while and turned it on there at the end. And so I wouldn't, totally count Alabama out from a talent perspective. I mean, throw in the fact that they have the probable first pick in the MLB draft in 2026 and a top Golden Spikes candidate in shortstop Justin LeBron. I mean, he's a special player, and there's other talent on this team that we'll look at. I mean, look, this is a team at one point, I mentioned it, that's 22-1, and people are saying, is this one of the best teams in the country? But they're just not getting it done when you look at, once conference play started. I mean, it's a totally different ball game. But let's look at some of the players that I think are worth mentioning. Center fielder Richie Bonamolo, he's a JUCO transfer. He had a year in JUCO where he walked 43 times and stole 44 bases. He's hitting 331 right now for Bama. He's only gotten thrown out stealing once, so he's got 12 stolen bases. And he really sets the table for this offense. I mean, starting game 2 of the Auburn series, he had 5 straight multi-hit games. I mean, every time you look at the box score, he's 2 for 4, 2 for 4, 2 for 4. Maybe a 2 for 5. Now, he cooled the last 2 games, but he's hitting 440 over the last 7 games. Shortstop Justin LeBron bats in the 2-hole. He was a freshman All-American last year. I mean, he's hitting 333 with 15 home runs, 58 RBI. I mean, his power numbers are just off the chart. He's tied for first in the country in RBIs, and third in home runs. Now, he is hitting under 300 in conference and has quite a few strikeouts. So he's one of those guys where it's like, and I'm not saying he's hitting like 210. It's like maybe 280-ish, 290-ish, something like that. Maybe might even be 295. So he's somebody that can get it going, fast. But another guy that I think is worth mentioning is right fielder Cade Snell. He's a team captain, and he's the only player hitting 300 in conference. He's hitting a team leading 333 in conference, and he's hitting 365 overall. Both lead the team. I have nightmares about this guy. I mean, he is just a very, very good hitter from the left side. He doesn't strike out a lot. He hit 340 in conference last year. And I do not like seeing this guy come up to the plate. But those three guys right there, Bonamolo, LeBron, and Snell, are kind of make this team go. Now, I'll mention first baseman Will Hodo. It's his fourth year at Bama. He's got 577 plate appearances. He's just a menace. I mean, this is a guy that can hit for power. I mean, he's hitting 296 overall. He's got 7 doubles, 3 triples, 8 home runs. He's really struggling in conference. But then again, when your team's batting 239, most of the guys on your team are struggling in conference. Now, look, like any other SEC team, they've got lots of guys with pop that can go deep in an instant. Miami transfer third baseman Jason Torres. This is a guy hitting 293 on the year, 8 home runs. He does lead the team with 50 strikeouts. DH Garrett Staten, he hit 19 home runs and 19 doubles last year at Samford. This is a guy that he missed a lot of time with an injury. Or was that Brennan Norton? I get these guys confused. But anyway, Staten, his power numbers are nothing like last year at Samford, but he has hit 3 home runs in the last 5 games, and he can go deep. He's got power. Second baseman Brennan Norton, he's a Jacksonville State transfer. He's got 7 home runs. He went deep Tuesday night. Matter of fact, both of those guys, DH Garrett Staten and second baseman Brennan Norton, both went deep. On the midweek game against UAB. Now, on the mound, you're going to see their ace game 1 is Cade Snell. He's had 2 really rough outings in a row. Their I want to say Saturday guy. This week it's going to be on Friday. But their game 2 guy, Riley Quick, this is a guy that throws like 99. He can get up to 100. He's had some like a blister or something, but he has started, I think, 8 games on the year. But he's got good stuff, man. He threw 5 1/3 against Mississippi State, only gave up a run, and got a good fastball, got a good breaking ball. Game 3, they've been starting Bobby Alcock, but he was replaced by Tyler Fay last weekend. Alcock actually started Tuesday night against UAB. So interested to see who they go with this week. But if you just look at like this is not a great starting rotation by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not. They don't. Riley Quicks is a guy kind of moving up draft boards, but again, he's not been somebody who's like done it over and over again. So this is a very pedestrian starting rotation. As far as their bullpen, they're okay. I mean, they used, I think, 10 or 11 different bullpen arms against Mississippi State. So this isn't one of those situations where they've only got like 4 or 5 guys that they're going to go to. I mean, they just got a lot of guys that, they'll get in. And look, Mississippi State, that was a series that they dropped in game 3, and they used all kind of guys. Like, doesn't matter who they bring in a situation. Now, I say that, I will give them this. They have a true, legit closer, and Penn transfer Carson Osmer. This is a legit closer. I mean, he's got, I want to say 18 appearances this year. He's finished 16 games, and he leads the nation with 12 saves, or he's tied for the nation lead with 12. This is a guy you don't want to see in the game if they got a lead. he kind of crouches over and throws a little sidearm, and he's got a lot of run on it. Maybe throws 92, but it's just a weird delivery. So something you don't see a whole lot. Couple other guys I'll mention: right-handed pitcher Braylon Myers. He's got 61 career appearances at Bama. He's got a 2.92 ERA, over 14 appearances this year. Teams are only batting 179 against him. Probably the best strikeout guy they've got in their bullpen. Left-handed pitcher Matthew, I think it's Heiberger. He's also got 14 appearances. 3.60 ERA, but in the SEC, like, teams are hitting 361 against him. So I do like Georgia Tech transfer Aiden Finateri. JT Blackwood's a guy that's a second-year Bama guy, played there last year at Bama. These are guys that can, eat up innings. They throw strikes, like midweek kind of guys, but nothing scares me in this bullpen, which when I talk about the keys to the series as we wrap up, that's something that I think is important. But keys to the series: you have to make Bama's 4 through 9 hitters beat you. There is a big drop off of after Bonamolo, LeBron, and Cade Snell. The last thing you need to do is be walking guys in their lineup, especially the bottom third. I mean, and they changed the order around, but usually their 7, 8, 9 is a combination of like second baseman Brennan Norton, catcher Brady Neal, and DH Staten. Can't think of his first name right now. Those guys, the 3 guys I just mentioned, they're hitting 200, 217, and .077 in conference play right now. Those guys, you cannot let get on base, and set the table for the top of the lineup. I mean, you don't nibble at those guys. You don't walk them. You go right at them. So it's just important that you make the rest of the lineup beat you, and not the top of the 3 that I mentioned. Another key is jump on Zane Adams early and often by punishing his fastball. He doesn't throw hard. This isn't a guy that you look at and go, man, this is a big pro, prospect, but he can give them length. He is a guy who's been steady most of his career. This year, I mean, he's got an 8.57 ERA in 5 conference starts. And the last 2 starts, man, he has struggled. He's only made it 5 innings his last 2 starts. 17 hits, 13 earned runs, only 2 strikeouts. That's a 23 ERA. So this is a guy that you can go out there and hit around, but at the same token, if you let him get into a groove, he can eat up some innings. He's got a good changeup, breaking ball. He can pitch you inside. And we saw how Auburn's pitchers were able, especially Carson Myers and Griffin Graves, they were able to use their fastball in on the hands. You just don't want this guy to set up their bullpen because they don't have a ton of guys. So faster you can get him out the game, the better you're set for the weekend. And I think it's like that with Riley Quick as well. But another key, man, is just clean up the defense. The defense last weekend against Auburn played a major factor in that series. So just make the routine plays and you're going to be all right. This isn't a key, but I would love to see a power surge at the box this weekend. I mean, I've mentioned this already. Jared Jones has 1 home run through 15 conference games. And you just need him to be able to change the outcome of a game in one swing. He's only hitting 252 right now. So it would be one thing if he's hitting 370 in conference, with a ton of doubles and base hits, but it's not. I mean, and the reason why home runs are so important, you look at last weekend in the Tennessee Ole Miss series, just give you 2 quick examples off the top of my head. That in a rubber match, the series on the line, Ole Miss is winning by a run in the 9th inning against Tennessee, and they've got 2 outs. And what's the guy's name? Reese Chapman hits a 2-run home run, gives Tennessee a lead in the 9th inning with the series right there on the line. In the Georgia-Arkansas series, Arkansas is down by a run in the ninth inning. Another one where the game 3 decides the series, and Vahiva Aloy hits a 2-out home run to tie the game, send it into extras. Georgia ultimately won the series, but being able to hit homers in the SEC is so important. It just really is. So I would love to see that. I'm all in favor of some power. I do feel really optimistic about the pitching staff, the amount of guys in addition to Cowan and Evans that have really come along. So really interested to see how those guys do. And I think the box is going to be a great environment. And I think Bama's walking into a tough situation this weekend. I always like LSU, but I really do like them to win 2 games. I just don't see a scenario. So many things would have to go wrong for LSU to lose this series. I know you could say, well, it happened at Auburn, but this isn't, even on the same level, a team on the same level as Auburn. I don't think so. That's going to do it and wrap it up for this episode of Inside LSU Baseball. We'll be right back after the series with the recap. And as always, thank you so much for joining us.